Hello and welcome to the Lenovo Legion Great Debate series. I am your moderator, David Quinny Quinn. Let's just stick with Quinny. You may have heard me on the periodic table of awesome podcast. You may have experienced me introducing cult cinema for event cinemas, or you may have seen me interviewing celebrities for the past 15 years on stage at Supernova. Quite frankly, I've been around. But this, for me, is a first. Rarely as a debate master do you read a topic and find it that it is so dripping in hyperbole that you think, how can anyone argue that point? It's the Lenovo Legion Great Debate, so we're gonna try. World of Warcraft is the most iconic game in history. How do you prove that? How do you argue it? Games are all about binaries, 0 or 1, good or bad, red versus blue, alliance or horde. We are all about conflict. So when a game rolls on in, throwing around the big swinging pickaxe of most iconic game in history, you know there's going to be blood. So in this new Wrath of the Debate King expansion pack, our two teams will be fighting tooth and claw to determine if World of Warcraft is the most iconic game in history. I will be looking on in utter bewilderment, however, as possibly the only person alive who has never played the game. Yep.
Wow.
Sorry, mea culpa. But I have seen the film, which probably makes this even worse. We have some of Australia's finest gaming personalities joining us from TV, esports, Twitch streams, and even one plucked from the back of a luck dragon. And these luminaries are here to argue the biggest questions in the gaming sphere. Now, standing as one for the Alliance and for the affirmative, we have guild leader from Western Australia and orc enthusiast, Pete Curulli. Next to him is some Elfishguy who claims his real name is Jordan Mays as second speaker. I personally don't believe. And finally, Nichboy Richardson has torn himself away from his role-playing server just long enough to take place as the third speaker for the affirmative. The horde of those in the negative are led by Stephanie Hex Bendixsen, and her raiding party is bulked out by Geordie Mcaleer and Jordan Raskopoulos, who is doing double duty as third speaker and lover of unwieldy giant shoulder armor.
Lookda.
Yeah. There is only one way to start this debate, and that the World of Warcraft is the most iconic game in history, and that is, of course, to yell, Leroy Jenkins! Okay, so, cards on the Hearthstone here. I still honestly have no clue what WoW is about. But, Pete Curulli, I'm hoping you can help me. You're the host of the Xavier, Jules and Pete show on Hit 92.9, and you're the founder of the games content company Game on Oz. Hell, you're the GM of Pentanet GG Esports. If you can't put this whole World of Warcraft thing into perspective as the first speaker for the affirmative, who can? Go, Pete.
Thank you very much, Chair. In fact, may I stand, Chairperson? May I stand for just a moment? Thank you.
If you feel you must.
Thank you. I'm just going to have a moment here. And you did, in fact, actually take the words right out of my mouth, Chairperson. Leroy Jenkins! May 11, 2005. Oh my goodness, what a day. What a day. Iconic, isn't it? In fact, I can't actually remember anything else that happened on that day in 2005, but I remember that.
Great start.
I also
like to call out the nice shorts.
Thank you very much. No, it's one of my favourites, actually. Barley Special. I remember that at least he had chicken, dear Chair. Quinny, you absolute dead set legend. Esteemed members of the jury, the orcs at the back, myself, my fellow human, and our friendly Elfishguy have formed an alliance to bring you everything you need to know to understand that World of Warcraft is the most iconic video game in history. Elfish's journey through WoW's influence of popular culture should be enough to seal the deal, but if that's not enough, well, Nichboy's Urban Dictionary research will surely knock that on the head. But me? Well, I sit before you now as a man who calls himself a PC gamer, who played World of Warcraft but once. Wogdog85. I can say that because I'm Italian. Just once I ventured into it and was scared away by a clunky dial-up modem and a subscription fee that my mother wouldn't fork out for. And yet, I feel like I've been playing it since it launched. To be an icon as a video game is to be a thing regarded as a representative symbol or as worthy of veneration, a great respect or even reverence by the people around it. World of Warcraft has been referenced in countless movies and television series. It has inspired licensed hardware, probably most of which you all own right now. Many times has it been the drunk tattoo at 4 a.m. Do you need me to do the Alliance or the Horde? Iconic games are revisited time and again by their fans. Rough as the launch was, WoW subscriptions jumped 200% in the lead up to Classic, and almost all of Classic servers were full on launch night with queues of tens of thousands trying to log in. How is that for a fact featuring a figure? Iconic games launch styles adopted by other games. WoW made cooldown gameplay broadly popular. Iconic games create movements and inspire cultures and communities to form around them. Who could forget just this year the sad passing of Wreckful in February and the hundreds of Warcraft players who logged in and met at Stormwind Cathedral to pay their respects to the former #1 ranked World of Warcraft player. To be iconic is to tick the boxes of your own culture and then go on to influence the broad culture around you. How is it, though, that World of Warcraft is the most iconic game in history? Well, video games were invented in 1966, and yet WoW has managed to achieve all of the above in just the last 16 years. All I can say is wow. Thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
I feel like that word's going to get a real run today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it may very well.
First of all, thanks for calling me a dead set legend. Also, a thing worthy of veneration. Does that mean that I am an icon too? Because I'd like it to be cute and chibi. Now, I also like the phrase ticking the boxes of your own culture. Classy. That's very classy, sir.
Thank you.
Now, not wow. Our first speaker for the negative is Stephanie Hex Bendixsen. She is a TV presenter, speaker, content creator, author, and of course, our Lenovo Legion brand ambassador. From ABC TV's Good Game and Foxtel's Throne 360, which is almost a combination of those two things turn into WoW. She's on Twitch and YouTube, and there she presents the video game variety show Back Pocket. But right now, she is raring to raid and tell us why WoW is not actually that WoW. Go, Steph.
Well, thank you and welcome everyone, viewers, Chairman Quinn, medicine woman, legions of Lenovo fans. Here...
Okay, nobody said that was happening. I'm out.
Here and now, we put to rest the argument of whether or not World of Warcraft is the most iconic video game in history, which is a ridiculous notion, and my team and I categorically deny that that could ever be. As first speaker for the negative, I will help you see that WoW may have been cool once, but now it's just tired, soulless, and ugly, leaving nothing behind but a legacy of shame. Our second speaker, Mac, will discuss the fact that there are hundreds of history-defining games out there that would be lauded as most iconic over World of Warcraft. Our third speaker, Jordan, will discuss how World of Warcraft literally destroyed her life. I would like to also address what the first speaker of the affirmative team brought up in Leroy Jenkins. Yes, an iconic moment. Many would say a moment that is more iconic than the game itself and outed as fake. I think user AmphPie posted a dry run of that moment that he'd been holding onto for over a decade, proving that it was never an organic, fun moment of gameplay ever, but actually a fallacy in itself. How iconic is that?
Shame.
I feel like you just told me that Santa Claus doesn't exist.
World of Warcraft, the seedy underbelly of the video game world. It may have been an exciting new genre when it first started, but after countless tired expansions, daily grinds, and pandas for some reason, it still plods along, ugly as ever, pathetically asking you to go out and kill 25 bears to rob them of their organs over and over and over again. Most iconic? Hardly. I mean, there are hundreds of other video games that one would consider iconic before WoW even entered our minds. Consider Nintendo. Consider all the classic characters we love and admire. Ask any normie on the street who doesn't even play games, which is the real test, which character springs to mind when they think of video games, and I can assure you they're not going to say Sylvanas. I mean, why does World of Warcraft still even exist? It's lost any sense of joy and soul it perhaps once had. There's effectively pay-to-win mechanics now that you can just buy a level 100 character to get you through all the pointless slush grind that it would force you through before everything that has come recently. I mean, video games have moved on in so many exciting ways while WoW stays stuck in time, with gamers hooked up to their endless job lists of daily quests like Matrix-style human batteries feeding Blizzard's great machine. All the worst cases of video game addiction come from WoW, the destroyer of relationships, romantic relationships, and access to vitamin D. I mean, what kind of legacy will it leave? How will we remember it? It's a curse, nay, a scourge on humanity. And the opposing team would have us call it most iconic? I mean, infamous, maybe, but iconic? Hardly. For shame. For shame.
Wow. I've never even played the game, and I feel personally attacked by your... like, I feel like I have done something wrong, and I've not played it. I'd also like to say that Legacy of Shame is actually my Tinder profile. I'm utterly horrified, however, that Leroy Jenkins is not real.
Oh, like, I'm so sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
What? How? I just... No. Like... Okay. Is there such a thing as the Tooth Fairy? That's all I need to know.
Yeah, it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Sweet! Oh no, he's got COVID. Okay. Now, possibly our most on brand of our debate team members is this person, Elfishguy himself, Jordan Mays. Now, he's an esports commentator with one of the best resumes in Australia, Asia Pacific. He's been commentating for over 6 years, covering a wide array of other iconic games, including Counter-Strike, Fortnite, Overwatch, World of Tanks, PUBG, Crossfire, Hearthstone, and Team Fortress 2. No Warcraft, I notice. The second speaker for the affirmative, thank you, Jordan.
Indeed. Well, thank you, Moderator Quinny. And as you have so kindly alluded to, I just want to let you know that you do have a kindred spirit in myself, in that I too have never played World of Warcraft. And as the second speaker of the enemy team is no doubt well aware and was planning to use as part of his rebuttal, that is a true point. That is a fact. But despite sounding like the opposite, this actually does make me more qualified to argue for the affirmative. No bias, you see? I don't even need to draw on a gameplay experience to prove to you that World of Warcraft is the most iconic game of all time. Whether you talk about World of Warcraft being uncool and old, as your first speaker has alluded to, this is beside the point. Just because an icon is no longer as iconic as it once was, does not mean it was never iconic, or in fact, the most iconic. What about Shane Warne? Actually, you know what? Let's not get into that. At least the kids still scream bowling Shane when they whack a leggy past the leg pad and bang up the uprights. When you talk about something being iconic, as our handsome first speaker has defined, you think of it as influential, recognizable, or revered. World of Warcraft is every one of these to a T. Just ask your mum. I'm sure she's heard of it. It's a game that has influenced the video gaming landscape more than any other, but has done much more than that. By finding a cult following that has escaped the gaming demographic, it has filtered into the mainstream to become the most iconic game of all time. Ever heard of How I Met Your Mother, Big Bang Theory, Stargate, or Supernatural? All these TV series kind of feature a nod that references World of Warcraft. Sure, references are one thing, but what about a whole episode dedicated to World of Warcraft? South Park's Emmy Award-winning Make Love Not Warcraft is exactly that. It's 22 minutes of cable TV time dedicated to the video game. And this was at a time, by the way, before video gaming was cool. Celebrities like William Shatner, Mr. T, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Ozzy Osbourne have all featured in World of Warcraft commercials. And World of Warcraft has been used to advertise for Toyota. Seriously, go and look that up. It's actually quite a funny video. No other game has the reach that World of Warcraft does. Fine. Maybe celebrities, TV shows, commercials aren't enough to reach you. How about memes? I know this one's already been brought up for me, but one of the most famous memes of all time was spawned by World of Warcraft. And I am, of course, talking about Leroy Jenkins. Even if it is a fake, it's a meme that went viral before going viral was even a thing. Kids at my high school ran around screaming Leroy Jenkins, and I'm pretty sure they never even played World of Warcraft before. So if you can show me a video game that has a reach that is farther flung than World of Warcraft, not only to gamers, but throughout the rest of the world as well, then I think we can all agree that World of Warcraft is the most iconic game of all time.
Well done.
You know what? Just looking at you, I wouldn't have said you look elfish.
I would.
Can't see my ears right now.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, you do have a long aquiline face, but yes. I want to congratulate you for debasing this entire debate by bringing in what I assume were cricket references.
Yes.
Yeah. All I heard was ball, hit, ball, woo.
Well, iconic, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely iconic. Also, I'm very upset you mentioned my mum. See me after.
So she's a nice lady.
Okay? Right.
Nice lady.
Yeah. It's really important. Like, she loves Warcraft. I also just realised that perhaps they should have expanded the episode on South Park. Should have been Make Lovecraft, not Warcraft. That would have been a lot darker. Now, our second speaker for the negative is the one and only Mac, Geordie Mcaleer. Now, Mac is the moustache of esports, that is true, but this professional Counter-Strike commentator has a resume longer than an all-night dungeon raid, including IEM Sydney, ESL, One Cologne, ESL Pro League, and Gfinity Elite Series. He's even added his voice to the Esports Social Club podcast. He may have a strange, unnatural love of party shirts, but I have no clue what their armor class is, so it doesn't matter. I doubt it'll help, so take it away, please, Mac.
Look, thank you for introducing me, Quinny. I'm very, very excited to be here. Thank you. Yes, of course. And you're doing it perfectly this afternoon, might I add. Now, before I want to get into too much, of course, Jordan Elfishguy Mays, Elfishguy, look, people would think maybe you've had a bit of a love affair with WoW before, but as you've mentioned, you haven't touched the game. And as I have not touched cricket, I don't go around saying, hey, look, cricket's the most iconic game. I'm not an expert on it, and you know it's there. But do I think my opinion matters? No. Just like yours. Doesn't matter at all. Anyway, I have one thing to show you guys before we get into it, and it's going to be this. This is to your Leroy Jenkins.
Bruh, come on.
That's what we're here for. All right. So, didn't have to say a word. You know exactly what I'm talking about already. That is iconic. And look, I've got some numbers for you. I've searched on Google. Straight away, you've got 4 different games at least, which are more iconic, which are popping up before WoW is even mentioned there. So, that goes to say something. And look, WoW at its peak had 5.67 million players, whereas Fortnite right now, as of May this year, has 350 million players. That is so many more. I don't think this is even an argument that we need to make at the moment. And look, over the last decade, I can recall many times where I've seen Pokemon merchandise dominating gaming stores everywhere. Hell, they even made a phone game that had millions of players, people playing around the world, people getting outside of their house, literally going around, keeping people fit because it promoted physical activity. That is 607 million users still playing that game. That is over 100 times what has been playing WoW at its peak, and that was in 2016. And look, I don't have to make too many more points than that, but it's absolutely crazy. And Pokemon Go, that, like, I wouldn't have thought that that would be one of the top things, you know, one of the top most iconic games of all time, but it is. So that, Fortnite, we've got Minecraft as well, which has its own legacy, and that's just... I've never even touched Minecraft, so I'm not going to go and pretend to be an expert like other people here today. But look, thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and that is exactly why WoW is not the most iconic video game of all time.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. That's a lot of WoW. I'm just going to have to tell you, I did have to deduct points from the flossing.
It was the only dance I really knew how to do, so
Okay.
I couldn't do the other ones,
So my question then is the dance iconic or is it the game? Yes. 350 million players. That is currently more than the entirety of America. That is a terrifying number of people playing that game. I understand why they decided to do that Star Wars thing now. At the time, it seemed kind of dumb. Okay. Nichboy, I hope you are ready to wow us even more with your extraordinary debating skills. See, Nick loves all video games. He loves them so much that he claims to be one of the country's most competent talkers about video games. He's talked about them professionally for good game and screenplay, and he's talked about them in the League of Legends Oceanic Pro League. He loved talking about them so much he co-created Back Pocket so he could talk about even more games. It's a good thing that he's not just talking about only the World of Warcraft one then. Providing the closing argument for the World of Warcraft lovers out there, please welcome Nichboy.
Thank you very much. I want to start by saying I don't know exactly what the second speaker was arguing there in that 2.5 minute confused rant, other than a lot of people play Fortnite. But a fad is not the same as an icon. The boy band 5 were a fad. At one point, they may have been the biggest band in the world, but we all know that the Backstreet Boys are the true icon. The first speaker brought up the idea that WoW is tired and brings with it a legacy of shame. That may be true, ladies and gentlemen, but a legacy of shame is still a legacy. Look at the impassioned speech the first speaker gave about World of Warcraft. Could she stir that kind of passion for something that wasn't an icon? You want iconic. Urban Dictionary, the true dictionary, defines poop sock as a normal foot sock which is used to catch feces from World of Warcraft players who can't get up to use the bathroom while in the heat of battle. Name me another game that has added such a visceral and iconic phrase to our lexicon. No other game has the enduring legacy of World of Warcraft. My team have previously expanded on its bona fides in relation to pop culture and its impact socially. Let me get down to the real truth. Cold, hard cash. WoW is one of the few games able to justify maintaining a subscription fee. People love WoW so much that not only do they pay for the expansions, but they pay for the privilege to be able to log on and play something they've already bought, to be part of something so iconic. Our beloved moderator hasn't played WoW, but he has seen the Warcraft film. Why would he watch a film about a game he has never played?
Because of its status.
In pop culture, its iconic status. World of Warcraft got me beat up as a kid. I'm sorry to bring it down. Not because I played WoW, because in fact, I did not play WoW back then. I played Sega Master System games, like Strider and Lemmings and Alex Kidd in Miracle World. But did the pig-headed, meat-brain football frat boys I went to school with make that very important distinction? No. They picked on me because, quote, Richo plays World of Warcraft like a virgin. Because even people who despised video games, and the people who played them, had heard of World of Warcraft. WoW is responsible for the nerd gamer image. That is true. And the opposing team have argued that WoW has had a negative impact on the gaming image and culture, and that is true. But we aren't here to argue that. Iconic doesn't have to mean positive. It means recognizable. It means defining. And even to this day, gamers are defined as WoW nerds. Now, you might try, and indeed the first speaker of the affirmative did, to argue that Mario is the most iconic game of all time. But which one, Stephanie? Super Mario Brothers? Mario 64? Mario Galaxy? While an argument could be made that Mario is the most iconic character in video game history, World of Warcraft is video games. The affirmative team argued that the average person would think of the WoW player in ridicule. You say World of Warcraft and even the non-gamer in the street immediately gets an image in their mind. It's a socially maladjusted gamer, alone, in a basement, running a 40-man raid, covered in Dorito dust, guzzling Mountain Dew, and pooping in a sock. It might not be an accurate image, ladies and gentlemen, or even a flattering one, but goddamn, is it an iconic one?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much.
I was worried at one stage that by flossing, Mac, you actually lowered the tone of this. Congratulations, Nick. You have lowered it significantly further by the introduction of Doc. I didn't know.
Disgusting.
I didn't know that was a thing. I lived in blissful ignorance that was a thing that people thought was necessary. I, like everybody, have seen the episode of South Park, and we know the Doritos and we know the Mountain Dew. But the poop sock is something that I'm uncomfortable with. I'm just letting you know.
You don't wear them for comfort.
I'm hoping you don't wear them. Okay. In D&D terms, our next speaker, Jordan Raskopoulos, is the modern equivalent of a war bard or a barbarian. She is a comedian, singer, improviser, character actor, variety streamer, and terrifying roller derby badass who will destroy you.
Yeah.
But she's best known for her work as the lead singer of The Axis of Awesome and for throwing a book at Michael Bolton. Nowadays, she spends most of her time on Twitch, streaming from the back of Falcor the Luck Dragon. She is magical AF, and today she will be smashing home the negative case that Warcraft is not the most iconic game in history. Jordan, I actually remember seeing you at the premiere of the Warcraft movie.
I remember. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So with that in mind, you got this.
Friends, hello. World of Warcraft is not the most iconic game in gaming history. Now, the first speaker of the affirmative brought up Leroy Jenkins and mentioned how the date, May 11th, 2005, is etched into their brain because of Leroy Jenkins. Now, I remember that day, May 11th, 2005. It was a Wednesday, and it was a notoriously slow news day. Google it yourself. Nothing else happened on that day. Yes, no wonder Leroy rose to the top of your memory. Now, the second speaker hasn't even played the game and somehow thinks that South Park doing a parody of WoW is proof that it is iconic. And also brought up Leroy Jenkins again. Yes, it was a good meme, but hardly enough proof that the game itself is iconic. And I am surprised the affirmative has lent so hard on this tiny, insignificant and wrong piece of evidence. Now, the third speaker, I'll have to admit, I wasn't paying attention. Because I really need to go to the toilet right now. That's not a lie. And I have not attached my poop sock or gaming catheter. Now, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Gaming Catheters. As my first two speakers have established quite vehemently, WoW is not the most iconic video game of all time. And they've done that by pointing out its flaws and offering many, many alternatives. I'm going to go a step further and say to you now, World of Warcraft is the worst. It is the worst video game of all time because of how much I love it. I played in the beta. I remember the joy of those first days as we got to see a complete Azeroth. I remember the first time I walked into Orgrimmar or snuck on board the Nomengard train system. I remember the joy of buying my first mount. I remember the hours my friends and I spent dressing up as pirates, hiding in the boat at Menethil Harbour, hiding below deck, and jumping out when the boat was to sea, and slaughtering members of the Alliance, forcing their ghosts to trek out into the waters to respawn in the middle of the sea, only to discover their characters did not have the stamina to return to shore and died again. I loved it. It was the best thing in my life. But I think you'll hear those same words, from any other addict with any other addiction. This is a difficult topic to talk to you about today because I am a World of Warcraft survivor. Yes, World of Warcraft was fun. and exciting, but it was everything. My whole life revolved around this game. I was up at the crack of dawn to raid on American times so that my guild could be one of the first in the world to down Ragnaros the Firelord. I bought boxes and boxes of cards of the World of Warcraft CCG, a game I did not play, simply to get that one card that had a scratch code on it that would allow me to ride a chicken in the game. I raided with Americans in the morning and with Australians in the evenings, and any time that I wasn't raiding, I spent preparing for raids. And what do I have to show for it today? What honours, what gear, what loot? Nothing. All those months and months of real time poured into vanilla WoW. Disenchanted. Dust. Magic dust. And this is the most iconic game. This time sink. This glut. No, it is the worst game. The most fiendish, like Frostmourne itself, so tempting to the hands of Arthas, but ultimately corruptive and destructive. I got out. I'm lucky I did. During the tail end of Cataclysm, I moved house, and thankfully Australian internet providers are so substandard that it was months before I was able to log back in. By then, Mists had already been released, and my guildmates were all ahead of me. And I had enough time and perspective to see what WoW had done to my life, and to see what WoW really was. I hadn't played any other games in years. I hadn't seen sunlight in years. I hadn't used the toilet in years. My skin lacked vitamin D, and my blood was 70% Mountain Dew. And I look now at its legacy. I see things like loot boxes in so many games. I see those sinister mechanics that encourage you to work just that little bit harder for just a little bit less. Over and over and over again. Just a little bit harder for a little bit less. Until you find yourself grinding and grinding at the experience factory for digital scraps that will be worthless once the next expansion drops. No, my friends. World of Warcraft is not the most iconic game. It is the worst. It is the herald of the Lich King, the trumpet cry before the destruction of everything that was good about this industry. We once stood on the shores of destiny, and now we drown among the tides of darkness.
Oh my goodness. Poetry. Pure poetry.
I have to admit,
And I'm
that
glad
last
we-
bit was a quote from Warcraft 2, but I feel like...
Right, yeah, okay, great.
Sounds
And
iconic to
I'm
me.
glad that we're sitting on that. If we are standing on the shores of Destiny, then that's its own special grindy loop thing, god awfulness, which I too have an addiction to. So, hi Jordan, welcome. Now, we've heard a lot of arguments, and that's it. You know, the dust has settled. The green, red, and blue blood has dried. Orcs, dwarves, humans, elves, night elf, mohawks, if you missed a T, all lie in the rubble of a debate as big as Azeroth itself. Whatever the hell that means, I still have no clue. But I have got one point that I'm disappointed that none of you brought up at all. An icon. An icon is a small collection of pixels on your desktop. And as such, WoW is most definitely an icon because you can click it. But if we're following on from Jordan's very impassioned speech, maybe we need to click it and drag it to trash. Now,
With
just
the
like
wow.
in WoW, yeah. Look, I'm digging deep into the poetry of my soul here.
Well done, sir.
Anytime. Now, just like in WoW itself, you are the ones making the decisions as to who wins, who dies, and who tells your story. Sorry, that's Hamid. Let us know what you think in the comment section and sound off. Are you Alliance or Horde? Or are you like me and don't care? Or are you just more confused than you ever were before? I don't know whether we can actually say who's the winner, but I know that anyone who has been addicted to WoW is definitely not the winner. But maybe those who get out are. From me, Quinny, and all of us here at Lenovo Legion, first of all, I'd like you to say thank you so much to our affirmative team. Give them a huge round of applause. And can we have a round of applause for our negative team, who are still very nice people.
I can't.
And now let us all look forward to a bright, shining future where there is no sequel to the Warcraft movie. From all of us here at Lenovo Legion, thank you so much. Thank you to our teams, and thank you all for watching. Stay awesome, folks, and we will see you again sometime soon.
Stylish outside, savage inside. Lenovo Legion.